You're watching a More Beautiful World podcast with Susan Renee, a channel for those of you with open minds and courageous hearts who are looking for guidance on your trauma healing and personal transformation journeys. Here, I share with you the powers of intentional plant medicine use, along with other holistic therapies and spiritual guidance to guide you on your path forward. I'm so eager to share with you what I've learned in working with these sacred plant medicines on my own journey, including the knowing that what we do to heal ourselves, we do to heal the whole collective. Join me as I share my experiences, knowledge, and wisdom to guide your trauma healing so you can transform your life, and so that together we can create the more beautiful world we all know is possible. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of A More Beautiful World. In this episode, I am going to teach you how to use certain practices to turn knowledge into wisdom when you are integrating your transformational experiences. Not only can you have these transformative experiences with psychedelic plant medicines, you can also have them with other things like Kundalini yoga awakenings, breath work, and even yoga retreats. When you have any type of experience that facilitates these deep levels of transformation, you gain so much knowledge and so much expanded self-awareness. But without taking that knowledge and integrating it into your life to really turn it into wisdom, you can easily fall back into old habits and patterns all too easily, really missing out on the full transformational experience. So that is why today I want to teach you how you can make the most of your integration period and use the knowledge that you gain in your transformative experiences and really use it as wisdom to guide your healing journey forward. So if you are eager to learn how to make the most of your transformative experiences and turn the knowledge you've learned into deep wisdom to live a more authentic and fulfilled life, then this episode is for you. And a quick ask before we dive into this episode, if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please drop me a rating and a review. I'd love to know what you think of this podcast, and your support and rating does help me get these messages out to the world. And also make sure you follow the pod while you're there too. And of course, if you are one of the lucky folks watching me on YouTube, remember to like this video and subscribe for more. So have you ever had a new experience, maybe even a transformational experience, where you gain a lot of knowledge, though maybe you haven't really taken the next step with it and done anything with all that new knowledge that you received? This knowledge that we gain from these experiences comes from newness, comes from transformational experiences on our journey. And I talked about this in episode 59. So if you haven't already listened to episode 59, which is incorporating newness into your life to help with your transformation, it is worth listening to that episode, really as a beautiful preface to what we'll be talking about in today's episode. Because in episode 59, I shared with you that you need newness, you need new experiences in order to expand your awareness and gain new knowledge, and ultimately use that to fuel your personal transformation. So today I want to talk about really the second part of that conversation, which is what you do with that knowledge you gain from those experiences. And of course, biggest part, how do we take that knowledge and turn it into wisdom to really fuel our personal transformation? And it is through a process called integration. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's start with some foundations. So I always like definitions to kind of just give us some clarity of what we're talking about today. So let's just clarify, what is knowledge? right? And the dictionary would actually define knowledge as a familiarity, an awareness, or an understanding of someone or something, such as facts, information, descriptions, or skills, which is acquired through an experience or through education by perceiving, discovering, or learning. And knowledge can refer to a theoretical or practical understanding of a subject. Okay, so there's a lot of different variations, I would say, to that definition. Though as I see it, and as I'm applying it and talking about it in this pod, we are going to talk about it as it relates to trauma healing and personal transformation. And in that space, I believe that knowledge is when we gain a deeper understanding or cultivate a deeper awareness of our own experiences, our own patterns, and our own programming in order to have an expanded knowing of the self. To more deeply know thyself is really the core of the word knowledge that I will be referring to during this episode. Okay, so we have a little more clarity on knowledge and what we'll be talking about with that. But what is wisdom? So again, the dictionary would define wisdom as the ability to make good judgments based on what you have learned from your experience, or based on the knowledge and the understanding that gives you an ability. Wisdom also means the quality of being able to be within good judgment. Further explanations on wisdom would also add that wisdom is the ability to discern or judge what is true, right, or lasting. Again, there are many different definitions of wisdom out there, though as I see and feel it, wisdom is really taking the knowledge, right? That gaining a deeper understanding of yourself and using it in your life to make decisions out of discernment, to improve your life and to better operate in a way that is more authentic, more fulfilling, and more true to you. So when you are working, right, on your own healing, on your personal transformation, especially as you dive into the roots of trauma and start to learn, your trauma triggers, there is a need to really take what you're learning on that journey, right? Take that knowledge that you are gaining and turn it into wisdom in your life. And that is done through the process of integration. This is a big part of what we call doing the work in the plant medicine space. So that is done through the process of integration. And that, of course, begs the question, what is integration? Right? It doesn't just have to be integrating the knowledge, that we gleaned in a plant medicine journey that we turn into wisdom. This really can be any knowledge, that you gain on your journey, and you integrate it into your life by turning it into wisdom, right? And making changes and operating, moving forward in your life by integrating that new knowledge into your life. So again, just as a psychedelic plant medicine, can really catalyze these immensely transformative experiences, there are other transformative experiences out there. Things like somatic breath work, things like yoga healing retreats, kundalini awakenings. Those experiences can also happen in life and bless us with profound knowledge, of the self. And those experiences can facilitate deeper levels of expanded self-awareness or even spiritual awakenings. However, these experiences are all just a step on the journey toward healing, toward growth. And the real work begins, right, after the experience subsides, right, in, again, this process called integration. Because it is during this phase, right, post-transformational experience, a lot of people just return to their normal lives. Many go under the belief that, this experience profoundly changed me. But then they discover maybe they haven't done anything new after that experience, right? They haven't incorporated any of what they've learned into their life. And they might discover, that their problems haven't gone away. Maybe negative behaviors start to, resurface, and those negative behavior patterns reestablish themselves. So even self-limiting beliefs can continue to haunt them. And so this again is where the real work begins. This is where integration comes in. So you can use those transformational experiences, be them, from plant medicine journeys or other experiences, and really use the wisdom, turn it into wisdom to not fall back into these old habits, right? And really help it, use it to transform your life. So, falling back into old habits, it's part of human nature, right? Even after these experiences that we might label as mystical or life-changing or profound, if we really want to truly benefit from, our psychedelic and plant medicine journeys or these other transformative experiences, we do have to devote time and intention after the experience to really acknowledge all of the insights, right? Acknowledge all of the knowledge that we have gleaned and weave that into the fabric of our daily lives. Or more simply put, integrate it, right? Into our life. And that is how we turn it into wisdom to guide us forward in living life as really the most authentic and true version of ourselves. So again, integration, be it from a psychedelic plant medicine integration or an integration of any highly transformative experience, it really is becoming a highly discussed topic right now, especially in the plant medicine space and also inside of spiritual communities, because there's a lot of spiritual awakening and transformative experiences happening out there. And, that is because the reason it is so highly talked about is because when integration is done properly, this process can lead to lasting positive changes in your well-being, in expanding your intuition, in your insightfulness, and in your own resilience. Again, with that, I simply say integration, right? And the whole point of this podcast. Integration is when we are taking the knowledge we have gained from these transformative experiences, turning it into wisdom as we incorporate it into our lives, and really transforming our way of being so we can be this more authentic and whole expression of ourselves. So, again, these experiences can really reveal to us a lot of new perspectives on who we are, how we perceive ourselves and others, how we view life, how we even view reality in general. And they can even make us acknowledge these new goals, new ambitions, and realize, our opportunities for different ways that we can think or behave. So because these experiences can show us our potential, and give us the knowledge we need, right, to make it happen. It's great to have the knowledge, but then it is up to us to do the work, right? We have to do the work needed to actualize it. So this is what we're doing through the process of integration. And again, before we dive into how do we bring in practices to make sure we integrate and implement into our life, I want to throw in a quick disclaimer that because this work is so important, working with someone in the space like myself, who focuses on holding containers for integration, can really allow you to more deeply connect into this inner wisdom and allow your healing capacity to emerge, to be explored, understood, and better implemented in your life. So it can be more powerful to do this work with a coach or practitioner like myself because we can go farther together. But I know there are some of you out there who are on these journeys and you're desiring to go it alone, or maybe you're just at a point right now where you are working the process of integration alone. So, that is why I create these episodes, because I want you to also know, even if you are going through it alone, right? How do you take this knowledge you've learned through these transformative experiences and turn it into wisdom? So I'm going to talk about a few ways we can do this. And I want to just say it is going to look and feel different for every single one of you out there. All right, but there are some key ways I found and experienced in my own integration and in helping clients through, their own integration of these transformative experiences. And These are practices that really do take the knowledge we have gained and this expanded knowing of the self and put together a little action plan and really use it and transform it into the wisdom, right, to guide our journey forward. So I am going to try to keep this as simple and high level as I can. But this is a pretty complex topic. So again, disclaimer, really best to go through this integration process with an integration coach like myself, because it is very multifaceted, it is multi-layered, and a lot can come up if you are working through trauma. It can be very helpful to have some sacred space held for you. But again, if you are out there going it alone, let's talk about some ways to really successfully turn knowledge into wisdom through the process of integration. So first and foremost, you've got to make time and space for your integration. And this is key. And I know sometimes I start out with almost like common sense recommendations, but there are so many people I have encountered out there that go through these transformational experiences and they do not make any time afterwards to, ruminate on what they went through, to reread journals about the experience they've gone through. And again, making time and space for your integration process is key. So with that, you have to set aside time and make time for the integration work. All right. If you don't do this, I can guarantee you will quickly fall back into your old patterns, your old habits, and you're not going to be turning all that knowledge you gained into wisdom. In fact, I'd argue that if you don't make time and space for your integration, whatever the transformative experience that you went through will almost be for naught because you're not really doing anything with the knowledge you gained. So when I say make time and space for it, I would set aside literal time in your calendar. Like if you have a very busy calendar, make blocks of time for your integration so you are prioritizing it. And the sooner you can do it after your transformative experience, usually the deeper you'll be able to go and the more insights you'll be able to glean. So put it in your calendar and make sure you are creating time to really channel these knowings into wisdom and making time to identify ways that you can make positive changes in your life and really allow your own healing capacity to emerge and that more authentic version of yourself to shine through. So we'll talk about some things to do with that time coming up. But a few more things on integration process. So you've made time for it. I want you to also know, and just want to set a little expectation, is know that there is no need to rush the process. During integration, some changes may happen really quickly, and others may take some time. So I like to look at integration process and even the transformational experience itself as you are planting seeds, right? You become a seed planter. And integration time is when you are really sowing the seeds for change. So it really depends on, what the experience was like and how many seeds you've planted, right? Is going to depend on how you tend to those seeds, and how you tend to your seeds that you've planted will depend on what takes root and what grows and what does not. This goes back to number one, right? You've got to make time for this process. You've got to make time to tend to these seeds, with integration. They'll also know, right, that when we plant seeds, right, if you're, for my gardeners out there, people who know the process of growing plants, right, you're not going to just plant seeds in the ground and then 5 minutes later start yelling at them because they haven't grown, into a full plant within 5 minutes. Right? So don't yell at yourself, right? And don't get frustrated with yourself when things don't change overnight. This is where you need to set some, goals for yourself of having a lot of self-compassion, having a lot of grace and patience with yourself as you do navigate the integration period. So you've made time, you're in no rush for this integration process. The next thing I want you to do is go back to your intentions that you set as you were preparing for your psychedelic, plant medicine experience, or even as you set intentions for other, transformative experiences. Maybe it was a yoga retreat, maybe it was a Kundalini retreat or a breathwork retreat. Hopefully, you went into those experiences setting intentions for what you wanted to get out of the experience. Because I would say letting these intentions guide your integration process really is going to help you turn the knowledge you gained into wisdom. So let yourself spend some time revisiting your intentions, and then take it to journaling. Or even doing some voice recording or video recording, and journal, capture in some way what has come up for you around these intentions, and maybe even ask yourself, do you feel you got some knowledge and you got some guidance through that experience? Did you get any clarity, around the intentions that you had set? So in that, I'm going to weave in another practice, and that is review your journal of the experience. So back in episode 59, I talked about journaling to capture your experience, right? And hopefully you captured as much as possible about whatever experience it was that you went through, because that is when the knowledge is fresh, right? That is when the experience is fresh. And so that can be a really powerful way to capture, a majority of the knowledge you are getting. So in integration, you review that journal. You go back through. It's a big thing I do, in my plant medicine journeys, is I journal like crazy, throughout the weekend or week-long experiences, whatever I'm on. And when I'm working through integration, I go back and reread my journals, because it's amazing, these nuggets of wisdom that will pop out at different times for me. I recently went back in and reread one of my ayahuasca ceremonies, and some of the knowledge I had gleaned in that ceremony, and a lot of the things were deeply resonating with me right now, several months later. So if you did a good job, and hopefully you did, journaling through your experience, through your transformative experience, in your integration, go back and review the journal. And make sure you can use that knowledge you captured as much as you can. So this is where you can start to, again, look at your intentions. Some of those intentions you set, did they come through in your journaling experience? And it really can be a beautiful way to make sure you are maximizing, reviewing the knowledge that you gained. So those are a couple of high-level things you want to do through integration. Now, I want to talk a little bit more as we finish up the podcast about some ways to really integrate physically, integrate with your body, integrate with your emotions, because usually if you are working through trauma, there's going to be a lot of emotions that come up. And I want to talk about doing some spiritual integration as well, because especially if you're working with, some psychedelic plant medicine, that can really open up some spiritual experiences as well. So let's talk about a few ways to do some integration in, the body, mind, emotion, and spiritual spaces for a successful integration, right? For turning this knowledge into wisdom. So let's talk first about integrating with the body, which we're going to call somatic integration, right? Soma means body. So let's talk about integrating with your body, this experience. Because oftentimes there is a lot of knowledge you're going to gain from these experiences that have to do and are in relationship to your physical body. Our bodies do hold on to trauma. And when we go through these transformational experiences, you may see, where your physical body needs healing, or you may have intuitive guidance, this knowledge drop in to know what your physical body needs for healing. So when you are taking that knowledge that you've learned and turning it into wisdom, that can look like certain practices. So the ones I found most helpful with integrating in my physical body, number one is spending time out in nature. I think our beautiful Earth Mother, our Pachamama, holds such beautiful healing energy for us. And I think, getting in some earthing, getting in some grounding, that alone is so healing for our nervous system and helps to activate our parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system. But just breathing fresh air, getting sunshine on your skin is a beautiful way to, go through integration and again, really take some of the knowledge of your physical body, right? And integrate, this information, this knowledge, and turn it into wisdom. So some other things that maybe come up that can be helpful in doing some somatic integration could be doing some exercise or yoga. I've personally found in the integration time, keeping it gentle tends to be more beneficial, in my opinion. Doing things that are a little more meditative, a little more restorative, things like qigong, restorative yoga, walking out in nature, can be very, very helpful when you are, again, looking to maybe change the relationship to your physical body. Also eating healthier, and doing some more mindful eating, even, that's a beautiful way to integrate these experiences. Again, a lot of times in these transformational experiences, we get knowledge that we do need to make changes to our diet. And with that, during the integration period, just bringing in a little bit more mindfulness around our eating can be a beautiful way to start to integrate that knowledge that we've learned. I'd also say bringing in some stress relieving activities for your physical body is great during integration. Things like Epsom salt baths, or going and getting, a massage, or even just giving yourself a good foot massage, or, a good hand massage, getting some reflexology done. All of these stress relieving activities. Again, what's happening in our body during that time is we are activating the parasympathetic rest and digest part of our nervous system, which allows a better environment for the trauma healing. It allows us to, again, really work on the physical body healing when we activate that parasympathetic nervous system. So all of those activities are going to help the somatic integration, right? Integrating these experiences, through the use of our body. There is so much more I could say there. We could do a whole episode on that, but that's the high level that you get today. So let's talk a little bit about emotional integration, and then I want to move into some spiritual integration stuff. And again, keeping it high level here, because we could turn each of these sections into full episodes, but know that there are a lot of emotions that are going to come up through plant medicine, journeys, through transformative experiences. I mean, a lot of emotions can even come up just during, a weekend yoga retreat. Okay. So again, I'm going to drop my little disclaimer here. This is where I highly encourage you to get support on your journey. Working with an integration coach to help you navigate this journey can feel a lot better. Okay, especially if there are some bigger, heavier emotions coming up. But again, I know there are some of you out there who are going this alone. So let's talk about a few key practices in turning some of the emotional knowledge, some of the emotions that show up, turning that into wisdom during integration. Again, there could be some really pleasant, really unpleasant emotions that come up. So whether they're pleasant, unpleasant, comfortable, or uncomfortable, one of the things I know that's helped me immensely during integration and also has helped my clients is fostering an attitude of gratitude. I have an entire episode on the power of gratitude, and it really just the mindset shift and having gratitude for, again, whatever has shown up in your journey, knowing that it showed up, it gave you exactly what you needed, and it is guiding you on your journey moving forward. That gratitude goes a long way to make your integration feel a little more comfortable and be more successful. So bringing in an attitude of gratitude really helps on the emotional integration piece. Also, I think a lot of grief can show up during, during these transformative experiences. And it can be not just maybe you lost, someone in your life. It can be grieving of the old self. It can be grieving of old lifestyle habits. It can be, grieving just the loss of like a house or a location you've lived. Like any part of our old selves that we are letting go of, or part of our old lives, can bring up grief. I have an entire episode on how to handle grief, which I believe is one of the most complex of emotions. So listen to that episode if grief is showing up for you, but ultimately making sure we're allowing time, to process that. And really grief processing is a lot of letting go. It's a lot of gratitude and, bringing in gratitude for the experience and letting it go. And so again, listen to my episode on handling grief if you want to learn more about that. But I do feel there is a lot of grief processing that can come up, and it is an important part of the emotional integration process. A second big piece, I would say, in emotional integration is practicing forgiveness. So I feel like forgiveness is a big key to really healing our trauma, and really transforming our lives and transforming our mindsets going forward. Forgiveness offers so much healing opportunity, be it forgiveness of others or forgiveness of the self. So practicing forgiveness, in your integration does help you turn some of the knowledge you gained into this wisdom. And it can be highly transformational and really just fuel your transformation. So I also have some episodes, at least one, on forgiveness. So go back, tune into that, if you want some more info on forgiveness and the power of forgiveness. But ultimately, practicing forgiveness, again, for self and for others as you go through integration is going to be very helpful in making sure you turn all that knowledge into wisdom. So again, on the emotional side of integration, we could go down so many rabbit holes, but I'm going to leave it there because I think, again, having that attitude of gratitude, making sure you're processing any grief that shows up, and also practicing forgiveness through the process are three of the biggest tools, I would say, to help you in integrating, some of the emotional components that come up during these transformative experiences. So I want to finish up this episode talking a little bit about spiritual integration. Again, it's another topic we could do a whole episode on, and maybe I will for you. But the best way to really go about this aspect of integration is really by engaging in any kind of mindfulness promoting activities so you can reflect on your experience and, again, reflect on its impact on your life. Take any of the spiritual knowledge, the downloads, that you gained during your experience, again, be it with plant medicines, be it, at a yoga retreat, any of that, any of that knowledge you gained through your experience. Bring in activities then in integration that help you understand and really explore some of that knowledge, some of those downloads that you got, so you can then, again, learn more about incorporating it as wisdom into your life moving forward. So when it comes to spiritual integration, I'm going to share a few practices I've personally done, again, things that have helped my clients. There's so many things here. This list is probably infinite, but again, make time for these activities so you can, get into some of the spiritual integration space. Journaling, one of my favorite activities for integration of any of the parts. Breath work. Highly, highly recommend breath work during integration because it does help us in trauma healing. It can really help us, get some trauma and some charge off of our nervous system. So it's a beautiful way to do some spiritual integration work. Also yoga and meditation. Love both of those for, working working into integration, really both yoga and meditation, I feel like gives us some really good time to open up and reflect, right, on our experiences that we've had. I've already mentioned it in the somatic integration piece, but spending time in nature. I feel like nature, especially if you can get like out into nature, away from the city, away from the noise, spending that time in nature can be a highly spiritual experience. And if you can't get all the way out into nature, to do some spiritual integration work, maybe just spending some time with animals, your pets, your fur babies that you love and connect with, can be a really beautiful way to just really be more present, right? Again, these are mindfulness promoting activities, which means, just becoming more present, right? Becoming more mindful in your moments, which really does help with integration. So you can also do this through listening to calming music that you enjoy, maybe even doing a little bit of dancing. And really, I mentioned dancing, but any way that you're expressing yourself can be a beautiful part of the spiritual integration process. It can be through any creative activities, playing music, singing, dancing, maybe painting or drawing. That expressive, creative, energy can be such a gorgeous way to do some integration work. And again, take this spiritual knowledge, right, and turn it into wisdom and see, what comes out of you. And if you feel you have people around you as well that are in the same vibration who can hold space, also part of the spiritual integration is discussing your experience, with close friends, with family. And if you go with that recommendation, do make sure, again, they are on the same vibration as you, and they will be understanding and compassionate, because this can be a lot that comes up. So again, all pretty high level practices, but integration does look and feel different for everyone. And, I know that's a lot about what I shared, and I kind of, took it high level, went through it quickly. But I want to say, while that may start and guide you on your integration process, I want to again just say I ultimately would recommend you get support on this journey, on this process of integration, because it is a lot to go through on your own. And I do think you can maximize your experiences more when you are working, with a coach or a practitioner who specializes in integration. However, again, I know many of you out there, especially ones probably listening to this, are at some point going to be integrating by yourself, right? Or maybe it's just general transformative experiences you've been through. Maybe it's, the yoga retreat. Maybe it's a breathwork class. Breathwork can be super powerful and transformative. So for those of you who aren't working with a coach or with me yet, hopefully these tips and practices help you, because it really is my intention that these tools that I shared here in this episode will help you take the knowledge that you gained, from your psychedelic experience or from any transformative experience, and allow you to really make some time for it, right? Use these tools so you can turn it into wisdom, so you can make changes in your life moving forward to continue to fuel your healing, fuel your transformation. Well, that is it, my dear tribe, for this episode on turning knowledge into wisdom through the process of integration. Again, I trust you're going to take this knowledge that I shared in this episode and turn it into your own wisdom for your integration as you work to heal from trauma and go forward on your healing and transformation journey. But okay, tribe, let's remember, as always, this is about making the world a more beautiful place. And that begins with you. Because as you better yourself and you move through your healing and your transformation journey, you are beautifying our world. So I do hope you found this episode helpful, and I appreciate you so much for being on your healing and transformation journey with me. As always, if you need support as you are going through this process, right, especially as you're preparing for or integrating plant medicine journeys, make sure you grab your free clarity call with me. I would be so honored to guide you, on your journey and really support you as you go through the process. But that is all for today, tribe. Until next time, mwah, much love to you all. Hey tribe, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button below and then click subscribe so you catch future episodes. And remember, I've got lots of free resources for you to learn about the powers of intentional plant medicine use in order to support your trauma healing and personal transformation journey. So make sure you check them out in the description below and help in making this a more beautiful world for us all. Thanks again for tuning in, tribe. And until next time, much love to you all.